Well, in other news today, the so-called GOP war on women was one of the dominating discussions of the 2012 elections. It is a conversation that will be revisited this afternoon as the Senate once again poised to take up the Violence Against Women Act. It's an act which has been reauthorized since 1994 without a hitch. However, that was until last year. It was defeated in a part to Republican resistance to added protections for LGBT, illegal immigrants, and Native Americans. Joining me now, Wisconsin's Democratic Congresswoman Gwen, who powerfully spoke of her own rape on the House floor, and Ilyse Hogue, the new president of the pro-choice advocacy group NARAL. Ladies, it's great to have you with me. And Ilyse, I want to start with you. First of all, congratulations taking over the mantle there of NARAL. But following the defeat last term, you had written in an article, aside from the moral repugnance of this, the actions of the minority make our great nation a hypocrite in the eyes of so many around the world who have looked to us to be beacons of democracy and equal rights. So in lieu of what we expect this afternoon, how worried are you that we could potentially see some other signals of defeat?
I am not that worried. I mean, I think people are understanding that the flip side of the war on women is the empowerment of women, and we're seeing that come through in almost every story you've covered this morning, right? Women are making changes in gun policy. Women are actually leading on what our health and reproductive choices look like, and that's because coveted demographic. You can't win elections without us, and we have dreams and thoughts and desires about how this country should be run that we're not willing to forego.
Congressman, I added, when we talked about this, the fact that the hitch last year was the resistance to added protections for LGBT, illegal immigrants, Native Americans. What is the climate currently in regard to those provisions ahead of this afternoon's vote?
You know, I agree with Ilyse. There is really a groundswell of support, not only out there among women, but in the Republican caucus. And I think that, we're being held up by just a few people led by the majority leader, Eric Cantor, who is resistant to providing protections for Native American women. But there's a lot of work behind the scenes to change that. We've got 193 co-sponsors in the House, none Republican, of course. So we see this bill having the capacity to be passed overwhelmingly if Eric Cantor would just let it go. Just recently, Eric said, "Oh, we love women." But let me tell you, Thomas, women are being loved to death every day. 3 women a day die. 1 in 4 women are sexually assaulted or victims of domestic violence, and 1 in 6 women in America survive sexual assault. Native American women are 2.5 times as likely to be battered or sexually assaulted, and there are no adequate protections for them. We need this bill. Let this bill go, Eric Cantor.
One thing, Ilyse, that I do want to bring up is the fact that while we talk about what's taking place in Washington, D.C., as we look at state houses around the country, there are ones that are targeting women's rights. It tends to be a huge issue in places like Tennessee, where a bill on the table would require an ultrasound before abortions, require doctors to a copy of the fetal image. In Michigan, a conservative lawmaker went a step even further, pushing for a transvaginal ultrasound. And Democrats have battled that one down, but similar bills are still alive in Kentucky, Arkansas, and North Dakota. So in your estimation, how are lawmakers able to push through policies far enough, push through transvaginal ultrasounds and other invasive procedures in a country that sent a pretty clear message last November that women overwhelmingly don't want them?
What we're seeing is a process where it takes a while for some politicians to catch up to cultural reality. And there's no doubt that very real women are victimized by that. I also think we're seeing the Sybil effect of the Republican Party, the same thing that leads us to 2 responses to the State of the Union and what Representative Moore talked about. There are Republicans who see the writing on the wall, but those who are most threatened, those who fear women actually having the kind of power that would allow us to take full charge of our lives, this is their last dying gasp, and we've got to bring and protect all women along with us.
All right, we're going to watch and see what happens this afternoon. Congresswoman Gwen Moore, Ilyse Hogue of NARAL, thanks to both of you. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you too, Thomas.
Absolutely.